Good morning, good morning. Hello, 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 hello. I feel like I want to break into song and what's the matter with my hair? Sorry. There we are. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Spirit World Sees All. Boy, they've had a show this morning, I can tell you. We have been changing iPads and phones and other iPads, and we could not get anything to work. So I'm apologizing up front. We are slightly late, but here we are. Finally, we finally managed it. So good morning, good morning, good morning. It is March the 17th. It is, you guessed it, it is St. Patrick's Day, or as we would say, St. Paddy's Day. All right. So, first of all, before we begin this show, which I was doubtful we would even get to do, but anyway, first of all, I'd like to say good morning to my spirit guide, Gregel, who is fortunately standing to my right side, chuckling away at me. And I'd like to say good morning to Chris. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning. Happy St. Patrick's Day to you too.
So, do we have any? Do we have anybody, or did everybody give up on us?
Oh no, let's call it our regulars. Our regulars were here, ready and waiting. How great is that?
Oh, good, good, good. Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed. We'll keep our fingers crossed that we can continue this, that nothing else is going to happen. And Chris just told me I need a new device. I can't afford a new device. We have to work with what we've got, Chris. Anyway, oh golly, to think of the expense of a new device. Right, where were we? Yes, it is St. Patrick's Day, and it's also, we have birthdays in my family. My sisters, two of my sisters have birthdays in March. My daddy, as some of you will know, had his birthday on the 13th of March. And my oldest sister has a birthday today. And not sure that we ever, when I was growing up, celebrated St. Patrick's Day. We weren't big on celebrating birthdays either. You got a birthday card in the morning if you were lucky, and that was pretty much it. Happy birthday. You might have gotten someone to say a happy birthday to you also. Gosh, what a poor excuse for a birthday celebration. On a brighter note, boy, oh boy, did I celebrate Samantha's birthday every single year. Even when she was a baby at her first birthday, I had the entire neighborhood, and we partied all day, all morning, all afternoon, and well into the evening. We had a fantastic birthday party. It was the whole house was absolutely packed. It was crowded. And then what did we do? And her second birthday, of course, we did the same thing. When she was at school, I would, because I'm a crazy person, you understand that, don't you? All of you, you know that I'm a crazy person. I would invite the entire school. Sometimes it would be 35 kids, and sometimes it would be 40 kids. Sometimes it would only be 24, 25 kids. But I would invite the entire class because I couldn't bear to think that, excuse me, sorry, get rid of that. So I couldn't bear to think of, let me turn that down so I'm not listening to any more, that, you know how it is, some kids are invited to every birthday party, and then there are the other kids who nobody invites to the birthday party, and I couldn't bear to think that any of the kids would be left out. I was one of those kids. I don't think I was ever, throughout my entire childhood, try to think, don't think I was ever invited to a birthday party. Interesting. Anyway, we never had a birthday. I never had a birthday party. So there we have it. So I really make sure that when it's my daughter's birthday, we have a party. With Reese, we have parties. Christmas time, we have parties. We'll try and party as much as we can, especially when it comes to our children. And I know that with COVID, some of you are saying, yes, well, I know that with COVID, it's very hard. It's been very hard for people, but you can actually have a party online, get going on Zoom or something. You can have a party. And it is hard, for people who can't afford it, to do it. But everyone can afford to find a park and invite kids just to a park, just to play for a birthday. So there are lots of ways we can give our kids birthday parties without having to spend a lot of money or without having to worry about COVID and all of that sort of thing. Anyway, I'm muttering on, I'm rambling on. Chris, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing good. Now, complete opposite to you, my mom's last name was Sullivan. So trust me, we had everything St. Patrick's Day. She would even put green dye in our milk at the table.
Oh,
and
neat.
we did the traditional corned beef and cabbage and gosh, what else? I don't think we ever had Irish soda bread. I know that's big for other people, but it was a big deal in our house.
Is it still a big deal in your house, Chris?
Not this year.
No. Well, no. But before this year, I think it was a big deal, wasn't it? I mean, I can remember seeing you had the thing hanging up in your house which says Happy St. Patrick's Day. Didn't you have gnomes all over the place? Or leprechauns? Oh. Gosh, shouldn't say gnomes. I should say leprechauns.
Yeah, every year I had all those decorations up, but unfortunately, with Mike gone, my St. Patrick's Day decorations are in the back of my storage shed, and I would have to grab out a ton of boxes, all the Christmas boxes, et cetera, that I threw in there to get to them, and it was just too much, so I didn't grab anything this year.
No, I get that. I understand that. So you're having a quiet St. Patrick's Day, right?
So far, we'll see what happens after I get out of work.
Okay. All right. So, who do we have? Is there anybody there? Wait, should I say that in a more spooky way? Is there anybody there? Chris, who's there for us this morning?
We do. Let's see. Annika says, good morning. I was late too, so it works for me.
Good.
Barbara's saying, hi, Rosemary. Barbara's from New York. Judith saying, good morning.
Is this the Barbara that I recently spoke to?
It is.
I just want to check and make sure she's okay. Are you okay, Barbara? Keep going, Chris.
Judith says, good morning, leaving for an appointment, but I can listen for a while. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Good. Well, good. Well, happy St. Patrick's Day to all of you out there, and particularly all of you who are Irish or of Irish descent, who have leprechauns hiding in your gardens, hiding up your chimneys, wherever leprechauns hide. I know that leprechauns are very, very mischievous little creatures. I used to spend my summer vacations in Ireland a lot of the time with my mother and my siblings. She used to love Ireland, so we used to go there. We would always get on the ferry, and the ferry would go from wherever it went in England, I can't remember, to the Cork, and from there we'd get on a bus, and we'd drive for hours and hours on the bus, and we'd go down to the way down south to a tiny little village in the south, way down south, which was amazing. And boy, oh boy, I could tell you some stories of the tales, the stories, the things that we did there. There was an island that you could get to. They would have a boat that went out, I think, once a day. And that island was called Shirkin Island. Some of you might say, oh, I know that island. Shirkin Island was beautiful, white sands. You had to walk from one side of the island to the other to get to get to the white sandy beaches. First time I ever saw sand bugs was on Shirkin Island, and first time I ever got a serious tan was in Shirkin Island. Can you remember?
I'm serious.
Hello? Chris?
I think that was SIRI answering you.
Okay, we're going to ignore it completely then. And so I can remember I probably was about 14 or 15 at the time, and I got this glorious tan. You know, in those days, you used to think it was fantastic to get a great tan. I got this glorious tan. I was very, very dark, all really, really dark tan. And then when I got home, I started to get these little teeny tiny little blisters which broke, and then I sort of, amongst this really dark tan, I had these little tiny pink spots where the skin had blistered slightly and come off. It looked like I'd got pink freckles. So yeah, I remember our holidays, and I don't remember them fondly, I have to say, because lots of horrible things happened when we were in Ireland. But I do remember walking around the shop, seeing the leprechauns and just the whole atmosphere if I was left on my own. But I do remember one fond memory is that I used to go fishing with my daddy. Anyway, Chris, moving on.
So did you ever kiss the Blarney Stone?
No, never, because we weren't in that part of Ireland. Isn't the Blarney Stone on the west coast? I'm not actually
Well,
sure.
it's definitely Southern Ireland. I took my mom and Mike's mom there one year because that was my mother's lifelong dream, to go kiss the Blarney Stone. I have to tell you, it's not what you expect.
But don't you have to sort of lean over that big, huge gap?
Well, you actually have to get down on your back and have somebody like hold you and then scoot yourself out and over.
Into thin air.
Yeah.
Yeah, not something I necessarily would want to do.
But oh my God, she was so happy to do that.
Was she really?
Yeah. And then we did the Waterford Crystal Tour, and we drove along the Ring of Kerry. It was a great time.
Well, I have the Waterford crystal. You know that I collect Waterford crystal, although unfortunately a few years ago Waterford stopped being Waterford anymore, but they still make beautiful crystal. But I have all the old pieces. I have some beautiful Waterford crystal decanters. So that's my little part of Ireland, I suppose, sitting in my house there.
Andrew's here. Andrew's saying, is there any contact from my wife, Georgina? Can you give her a hug and kiss from me?
No, Andrew, I can't give her a hug and kiss from me. She's with you. You give her a hug and a kiss. You can do it. Actually, she'll accept it from you much more easily than she probably will from me. But no, you give her the hug and you give her the kiss, especially on St. Patrick's Day, right? So just all you have to do is close your eyes, visualize her, and think about that phenomenal, beautiful face of hers, and just reach out with your mind. And that's the way you can give her a hug and a kiss. Chris.
Then we have Sherry saying, can you and Gray Eagle tell me if I'm on the right track with this little business I'm trying to start? And what do I need to do to help it further if I'm on track?
Who is this?
This is Sherry.
Sherry, Gray Eagle has put his hand on my shoulder, and yes, hesitantly, you're on the right track. But what you need to do is you need to be, are you listening to me? You need to be consistent. And that isn't always your strongest area of expertise, is it? It's so easy to get sidetracked. If you want this to work, it means you've got to, knuckle down and be consistent and be proactive. Don't just leave it to sort of unfold by itself, and you've got to really sort of make efforts and inroads if you want it to work and to be successful. That means you can't just start it up and then sit back and wait for it to happen. It means that you've got to work hard at it, and put that despondency to one side, because when it's doing well, you'll be happy. When it's not doing so well, you'll be very despondent. And, people think, I know that I've had people say this to me. People think that when you run your own business, and in some ways, I guess I run my own business. I never think about it as a business, but I guess I do. I'm a writer and I have lots of things to do, and Chris cracks the whip all the time at me, to me, for me, and keeps me going. But the biggest thing that you have, if you're running your own business, and so many people think, oh, I've got no job, I'll start up a business, it'll be, hey, I can work for myself. That is the biggest downfall, because working for yourself, basically, when you start thinking you're working for yourself, that means you can take time off. It means that you can be late for work. It means that I'll leave early on Friday. I'll go play golf. Or it means, it's, and trust me, I've been there. So tempting to have another hour in bed rather than to get up and do what you have to do. And especially with writing, people don't understand that a successful writer is a person who knows how to discipline themselves, because it wouldn't get done otherwise. So the biggest clue to being successful in any business whatsoever is you have got to be absolutely disciplined. You've got to discipline yourself to get up at a certain time in the morning, to put in so many hours. Even if you've got writer's block, you've still got to sit there. You've still got to figure out a way to get around your writer's block. The same in any business at all. People think it's easy. I've had so many people say to me, in fact, I once had a lady who worked for me only for a short time. You'll understand why in a minute. She worked for me for only a short time, and she was sulking at one morning, and she was a bit of a moody person, which doesn't do well for me. And she said, well, it's all right for you. All you had to do was write a book. Oh yeah, well, yeah, no. Because that's, when you're a writer, that's not all you have to do. You spend hours and hours and hours and hours. And the worst part of writing a book is not the writing of the book, it's the editing of the book. It's the those finite details that you've got to find. It's the processing afterwards. Lots of difficulties. So if it were easy, lots of people would do it, wouldn't they? But if you don't have discipline in any business, doesn't matter what it is, don't start it in the first place. Give up, because it will not be successful. So there we are. Are you going to be disciplined, my lovely, or not? Chris?
All right. Then we have Barbara answering you. You asked her, how she was doing. She says she's having trouble, but hello, Rosemary. My spiritual consultation the other day was phenomenal. Contact with my husband, Donnie, brought me great joy and comfort. You are amazing and a gift to us all. I thank you and Great Eagle from the bottom of my heart.
Well, thank you for that. I did not expect or hope that you would say anything. That's so nice of you to say that. And I had just as much fun meeting your husband as you probably had hearing from him. But I want to put you on my healing list, because I feel that you do need a little boost from me from time to time. So that's what we're going to do, if that's okay with you. Chris?
Now we're hearing from Loretta. Loretta says, good morning, ladies. My grandma passed away about 2 hours ago. She was 104 years young and a heart of gold.
Good morning, Loretta. I'm listening to Grey Eagle as I'm listening to you, and as I'm listening to Chris, I'm also listening to Grey Eagle, and I'm hearing him say the one word that I think I would want to hear. She's safe. Safe, safe, safe. We're so sorry for your loss, but boy, oh boy, I bet she had a phenomenal and a fantastic life. And I'm seeing the most incredibly sparkly, fun-filled, mischievous eyes. So I'm suspecting that your grandmother's trying to let you know that she's there. She's still just as much fun. She's still loves you so very, very much. Thank you for sharing that with us. That must be very painful for you, and thank you so much for trusting us with that. Chris.
Cheryl's asking, can I get continued prayers for my sister? She's still getting treatments for her breast cancer, but
Yes.
now they have found a spot on her liver. She's getting tired of it all.
Well, yes, it is exhausting being sick. I know that it's exhausting being sick. Absolutely, we will send healing for her, my darling. Keep us posted on how she's doing, would you, Chris?
Rhonda says, I totally forgot about St. Patty's today. I wore pink.
Well, seeing as you're honest with me, my lovely, I'll be honest with you. Are you that lovely lady who sent me that lovely card and those lovely words? We couldn't quite make out the signature, but I think it said Rhonda. Can you let me know? Um, and to come clean, I forgot it was St. Patrick's Day also. I got up, I was sort of, made breakfast, I sort of hung out, I'm reading a really good book. Sort of life was doodling along. And then I came to do the show and I saw St. Patrick's Day and I thought, So I had to rush. This is why I was laughing this morning. We had all these problems with our iPads and phones and computers and one thing and another. We couldn't hear each other and Chris couldn't hear me and I couldn't hear her, and on it went. And in the midst of all of that, while we're trying to sort all of that out, I had to go and put this on because after all, I do want you all to be brightened and enlightened and inspired. And St. Patrick's Day is a very fun day to celebrate. Chris.
Sue is on saying, I met you years ago. That's all she wrote.
Well, Sue, come on. Where? How? When? Years ago could mean 2 years ago. It could mean 20 years ago. Where? What are you talking about here? Help us out. Please help us out. We really want to know more. Chris.
Dean is on. I'm very
Hi.
curious as to what Dean has cooked for his St. Patty's Day meal, but he said this was not live until 18 past the hour. So he had even a more delay.
Oh well, Dean, we're so pleased that you caught up with us, or we caught up with you, whichever it is. Did you make boiled beef and cabbage today? I know you like to cook. I want to know what you did cook or what you are cooking for St. Patrick's Day. And we'd like to know, if you're listening and you're a person who does celebrate St. Patrick's Day, could you let us know how you celebrate, please? Because we'd love to know that.
Barbara answered you and said, I finally figured out how to send a live message. Well, that is great. I'm doing great, so much better because of your help. Blessed to know you and Chris.
Good. Well, we're glad. We are so glad. And I know that Chris loves you. So, do you want to say anything to Barbara, Chris, before we carry on?
Barbara is a very charming individual, and I'm so proud of her for moving past any hesitations with technology and keeping trying. That's fabulous.
Yes. Okay, keep going.
Andrew's on. How much do you emphasize with the statement that purposely seeking joy just for the sake of it is a worthy mission and a major priority, or instead we just look for the half glass full in our life as life happens to us?
I'm not sure if I quite got this question down correctly, so I'm going to give you my answer and hope that satisfies. Because I know how easy it is for all of us to become negative, myself included. Now, you all see me and I'm always smiling, I'm always happy, and truthfully, mostly I am. Would you say that I am, Chris?
Yeah, I do think so.
I mean, when we're off camera, I think I think I'm just the same as I am when when I'm off camera. But tell me if you think I'm different, because you know we
Well,
all
you're
have that.
you're just in a different role when you're on camera. That's all.
But we all sort of have a like to put forward our best, don't we, when we're on camera? But I think that I'm pretty much like you, just as you see me. I am very aware, and I think one of the reasons is I am very, very aware of the how easy it is to get down. I'm very aware of how easy it is to become negative. I'm very, I mean, I for the last 2 nights I've been in situations where I'm listening to people talking about the Third World War is coming, and uh, I've lost everything, and poor me, and it's been tough. And when you sit and you listen to people who are expounding all of these beliefs and this negativity, because they are obviously depressed for whatever reason, probably for very good reasons. I try to, in those circumstances, I try consciously to say to them, yes, but it isn't all doom and gloom, is it? And I can't do anything. If there is a third world war, there's absolutely nothing I can do about it. So I am going to be positive. And I think the AA have a saying, something about if you can't do something, then you don't feel helpless. Do the things, change the things that you can change. I think that's something like that. And so I'm always striving, even when I see people and I talk to people who are very down and are very depressed, I'm always trying to give them things that they can do to change their life, to be proactive. And because I am aware of people, of how easily we can, all of us, become very depressed, and we can all become, get mired in stuff that we really can't do anything about. People talk about all the world's in a trauma and all the rest of it. Yes, it is, but it's always been. I very, very consciously, on a very conscious level, search for joy. I absolutely search for joy. And one of the things I do if I'm by myself and I start to think, and sort of, it's like termite mentality, isn't it? Termites get into everything. Termites nibble at the wood. They nibble at the foundations of your life. And there are people who have that termite mentality, and all they want to do is nibble away and nibble away at the foundations of other people's lives. If they see you smiling and happy, they just want to nibble away until they can make sure that you're not smiling and happy anymore. And I try very, very hard to recognize that termite mentality in people, and I try very hard not to be that termite myself. And I'm very, very aware that if I fall into that termite mentality, then I'm sunk. I'm done. And I have so many incredible and beautiful things in my life. We have a new puppy. My grandson, if you could hear him giggling and laughing when he's playing with puppy, the joy that comes from within him is so incredible and so beautiful. I was with a little girl last night. She was 3 years old, just 3 years old. She is a beautiful little thing. And over the last week, she's been very shy and she hasn't given me any time. In fact, every time she's seen me, she's hidden away from me. And I try not to push it. But she was watching a show on TV with nursery rhymes. So I started singing along with the nursery rhymes. I could see a little head popping up to see who was singing. And finally, last night, we were looking at pictures of my new puppy. And I was showing her, and the next thing, she was coming really close to me. The next thing, can I see the puppy, 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 puppy? And then we were singing nursery rhymes. How can you not be joyful? How can you not find joy in that? And in every way, every day, in every way, I consciously try to look for the joy in life, because where would we be otherwise? And I advise everybody and anybody to look for the joy, because otherwise we become so down and so dreary, and we're not appreciating life. We're only appreciating the terrible things that could or would happen to us, and we can't do anything to change it. If I personally could go in and mediate in the war between Ukraine and Russia, the war would be over, because I'm good at that stuff. I'd know how to sort them out. I'd know how to point out what they were doing. I'd bring reason and sense and common sense. And I would also bring gentleness to both sides. But I actually am just one little bean in this universe of ours. I can only do what I can do. So I have to focus on what I can do. And what I can do to help is to inspire all of you who are willing to listen to me, and to inspire you to say, we can't change many of the things that are going on in the world. Somehow we still survive. 10 years ago, people were talking about the same thing. I remember when I was in I was probably 30 or something, Russia had their rockets trained on England. The satellites were coming. Oh, a friend of mine had he had a big war calendar. This is, I'm going back years, 30 years or something, more actually. And I had a big war calendar, and I was sort of hanging about in the kitchen. We were drinking, having a glass of wine, just having dinner with these friends of ours. And I sort of happened to look at the war calendar, and he got something in big bold letters in November. And it was a big square, and he'd written third war. So wait a minute, World War Three. And I looked at him. I said, "What are you talking about?" And he told me about all the stuff that was going on. And I couldn't sleep. I was so protective of Samantha. She was only little at the time. I'm thinking, where can I go? What can I do? How can I protect her? And November came and went, and I thought, well, maybe it's December, or maybe it's January, or maybe it'll be next November. And I scared myself so witless that I eventually said, I'm never listening to the news again, and I don't. I've never switched on a news program on television. It's amazing how I know what's going on in the world, but I never turn the TV on. I can't remember the last time I read a newspaper, because it's so many, at least 30, 40 years ago. Are you amazed at me that I haven't read a newspaper? I just can't be invested in all of that stuff, and the media hype stuff up. And it's true what they say. You never read good news in a newspaper. You only read doom and gloom, the sensational doom and gloom. And so rarely do we have good news, and I just refuse to buy into it. Which is why you see me, I'm always smiling and I'm always happy. And look, all of these many years later, not only is my daughter grown and healthy and doing really well, I have a 9-year-old grandson who has a puppy who is now, they weighed him the other day, is now 5 pounds. And what's not to be joyful about? Chris?
Lorraine says, Happy St. Patrick's Day. Lovely green blouse. I'm planning on watching A Quiet Man, which is a classic Irish movie. John Wayne, Margaret O'Hara, Victor McLachlan, etc. And it's a yearly tradition.
Well, it's actually John Wayne. And Maureen O'Hara. I don't need now. Now I'm talking to somebody who is like-minded with me. John Wayne and Maureen O'Hara made several movies together. I think they sort of had that special something going on between them, a wonderful relationship that they had. But The Quiet Man is so amazing. When she has to run behind him going home, she's so stubborn. Anyway, you've got to, all of you, The Quiet Man, John Wayne, Maureen O'Hara, and it's set in Ireland, and it is so fun. It's such a funny movie. Another Irish movie you might all of you want to watch is one of the funniest movies that I've ever seen in my entire life. Really funny, is Waking Ned Divine. So can write that down. Waking Ned Divine. It is the funniest. They're most hilarious, and they're just pure plain fun, as is The Quiet Man. So if you want some good Irish movies to watch, those two are definitely two to watch. Just don't be upset when you see this very, very thin, very skinny old man who runs naked through the movie at some point. You don't see anything you're not supposed to see, but it's like, really? But it's so funny. It's so hysterically funny. I promise you, you will not help but laugh and laugh and laugh. Chris.
Cheryl says Irish coffee, Irish whiskey, Irish songs, Irish dance, Irish foods. What else can we think of?
Oh, let me see. Yes, Irish food. Maybe we should make soda bread or bannocks. Are bannocks Scottish or are they Irish? I think maybe both. Yeah, just give yourselves a phenomenal Irish day, but watch some movies. Waking Ned Divine you might find it a little bit hard to get. I'm sure they'll have it on Amazon. You might have to pay $2 or $3 for it because it's a very old movie, but it is so funny. It is. I promise you, it will be worth every single penny of whatever it is you have to spend to watch it. Chris.
Eric saying Erin go bra. My mom used to say that all the time.
What?
Erin go bra. Ireland forever.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, they see. Although I'm British and I have visited Ireland many times, I don't know too many things about Ireland, except the leprechauns, of course. And I thoroughly believe in them. And one of these days, I'm hoping that I will be the one that finds the pot of gold and convinces the leprechauns to let me keep some of it. Chris.
When we were growing up in the summertime, they had this program called the Irish Children's Program, because you had Northern Ireland and Southern Ireland. And what they did was they took kids from the cities, or I guess it didn't have to be cities, and they would purposefully have them live with someone of the opposite religious background to prove that people can get along.
Oh.
And so, we knew, I think three sets of kids, and then some of them came back multiple times during those years. So I'd like to think, extended family in Ireland. But what a great concept that was.
Very nice. Very nice. Yeah.
Dean says he's wearing green today, but his great-great-grandmother would wear orange on St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, the Orange Day Parade, yes.
There's such a thing?
Yes.
I don't know anything about an Orange Day Parade.
Orange Day Parade. Very sad day. Celebrating. Well, anyway, figure it out for yourself. Let's not talk about the Orange Day Parade. All right. I'm taking it Dean knows all about it. Dean?
We will hear. Annika says, I will give my Neil a hug and a kiss the way you just described.
Good.
It was the first anniversary of his passing yesterday.
Oh, wow. Well, deep breaths and know that, he's right there with you. And yes, this is what you have to do. You just have to sit very quietly. And Andrew, I'm hoping that you're going to do this too. You have to sit very quietly, close your eyes and visualize that person. And I know that in both cases, your loved ones will be there with you. I know that so many in the spirit world will be with us when we do this. And then you just reach out with your mind and with your heart, and you blow kisses and give hugs.
Let's see. Eric's wondering, will psychometry be in the upcoming webinars soon?
Why, do you want to learn how to do it? I can teach you how to do it. Look, here we go. Let me okay, so you take a ring, something that, or a piece of jewelry. anything at all really. It's better to do it with jewellery simply because if it's something that you wear all the time, which I wear this ring mostly, and I actually had this ring made and designed it for myself, so I know that nobody else has worn it. It doesn't have anybody's energy other than my own, and you really need to make sure that you have something that, and it could be as simple as a coin that was minted brand new and it's only ever been in your possession. It's better if you use something that is, let's say, worn every day. And what we do is we try to connect with, and in this case, if I take off this piece of, I cheat when I do psychometry. It's hard for me. I can't really do it, but I can teach people how to do it. So you take the ring and you sort of think about the ring. And then for those of you who are my students, you know how to raise your level of consciousness. You get into that sort of semi-meditative state. You raise your level of consciousness and you connect to every living thing, every piece of jewelry that we wear, everything that we wear on a regular basis absorbs our energy, and jewelry is a great thing for absorbing energy. And what we're trying to do with psychometry is we're trying to take that piece of jewelry or take that item and connect with the energy that is absorbed into the metal of whatever it is that we've been wearing. And these two rings of mine, this one wouldn't work so well because it did belong to someone else. And so when you're doing psychometry, it's very important to make sure that you're not working with something that belongs to somebody else, because you might be picking up the vibrations and the energy of another person that you probably don't even know, or you don't know much about. But if you know that you're using something that is just was new to that person, has only ever been owned by that person, has absorbed only that person's energy, then you can tune into that person's energy through psychometry. And it's a great way to discover all sorts of things about people. Will we be teaching psychometry? Why not? Absolutely. We've talked about it. Yes. If you'd like to know more about what we're doing, or if you'd like to sign up for our future webinars, please, you can either email Chris, Kris, at rosemaryaltea.com, or just write me in if you want. Chris will get it anyway. You can also go to the website, rosemaryaltea.com, and just let us know what it is that you would love to know and love to learn about in our upcoming webinars, which are, I promise, they are upcoming. They are upcoming, right, Chris?
I am saying, what is that Sergeant Schultz would say on that television show? I know nothing.
I know nothing.
Yeah, we will wait and see when it happens. We have it all planned out. It's just the when's.
Well, it's been Christmas, and then it's been birthdays, and then it's been taxes, and Chris, and then we've been, I've been, talking to somebody. Asked me yesterday, do you look, because I'm saying this just reminds me, because I'm dealing with a couple of wonderful friends of mine who are hoping at some point soon to retire. And it just so happens they're both in similar situations, and so I can get them together and talk to both of them at the same time. And so I've been helping them to sort of, figure out, first of all, can they, should they, will they, and how will they do with that? Now, somebody actually, it was a neighbor of mine yesterday who I really love. He's lovely. And he retired a couple of last year or the year before, whenever it was. And he had a job. He was in this job for 38 years or something, and he finally retired. And he looks at me and he said, so now, Rosemary, when he, excuse me, I'm laughing so hard. Rosemary, so now when are you going to retire? And I just laughed at him. And I said, what? He said, well, when you're going to retire, you need to relax. You need to, get a life. You need to, and I'm looking at him, I'm thinking, oh gosh, he has no clue who I am. It's so funny because people look at me and they'll say, so do you work? And I say, yes. And they say, well, what job do you have? And it isn't a job. It's me. This is who I am. It's not even a way of life. It is my life. I know it's hard for people to understand that, but so I'll be doing this until one or two things happens. Either I'll slowly lose my mind. Sometimes I think I've already lost it, but you know what I mean. So I'll either not be, because I won't be able to comprehend anymore, or I'll simply just go to sleep one night and be snuffed out, and that'll be me, and you won't see me anymore. Because until that time, I am never, ever, ever going to retire. Why would I? I love, love, love what I do, and I can't do any different. I'm me, no matter who I am, or where I am. I go into a supermarket, and sort of other people are shopping, and I'm looking for things, but I'm looking for things in my way, in a different way. I'll go to someone's house for dinner, and I have to just sort of try very hard to put me on the back burner. But it's hard to do because I can't really do it. But I appreciate that people don't want to always talk about who I am and what I do, although most people do want to talk about that. But I try to sort of go into the background with that stuff, and I do very well. But I'm still me, and me is that's what you're seeing. When I'm talking to people in the spirit world, you're seeing me. When I am giving healing, you're seeing me. When I am just sitting here chattering away and chattering about nothing at all, that's me. You're seeing me. And I won't be any different. And when I reach a certain age, I'm still going to be me, and I'm going to keep going. Are you pleased with that, Chris? Are you pleased about that?
Absolutely. We still have a book to get out.
Oh, yeah. Do you know, I thought about that this morning. I thought, really, it's time you got on with it. So,
applause heard in the background from many people. All right. Well, I'm going to give you quick 3 answers. Loretta is thanking you in Great Eagle for the message about her grandmother. Rhonda says, yes, it was her who sent you that lovely letter.
That was so nice.
Dean says he's cooking corned beef and cabbage right now.
I actually, until I came to America, the only corned beef I'd ever heard of was in a can. And I love it. Don't misunderstand me. I love that kind of corned beef. And in fact, I love it better probably than the corned beef you can buy in America, which you then, it's great in a crock pot, cooked for hours on end. It's great in a stew pot, cooked slowly. It's delicious, actually, but I have never come across that kind of corned beef. I'd only ever known corned beef in a can. And it's delicious. Corned beef in a can is delicious when you've got Branston pickle sitting on the top of it. It's so delicious. Anyway, so I don't have any in my kitchen. I don't have any. I know I don't have any because I looked for some the other day. So I guess I don't know what I'm going to have for dinner, but it won't be corned beef and cabbage. Chris.
Loretta says, I have a sister and 2 friends that are widowed over the last years. Sometimes I feel, since I have my husband, I know they feel I cannot relate to their grief and circumstances. They don't always say that, but I'm feeling that from them. I'm very attentive to them. In my sister's case, I feel that jealousy that I still have my husband. How can I do better, or advice on dealing with this?
Well, I'm going to throw Chris to the wolves here a little bit. Because, Chris, this does apply to you. And we were talking about this the other day, weren't we? Prior to you having lost Mike, which is only 9 months ago, you really, you thought that you could feel empathy for people, and you thought you could understand them, and you were very attentive. You did all the right things and said all the right things. Can you explain how differently you feel now, and maybe give a little advice as to, you know, we think we know until we experience our own personal grief, right? And then we know how little we did know. Am
Well,
I right about that?
I think you've just captured that very succinctly. After our last conversation, I write articles on medium.com, and 2 days ago, after that conversation, I sat and allowed myself to be pulled into the grief and to write down some of the things I was thinking and feeling. And yeah, it's kind of like somebody can say, go read this book about such and such, or go do this thing about such and such. And you'll get an experience either way, but the experience of doing it is far deeper and grander, and touches your soul in a way that only having the experience will give you.
Right. Could you give any advice to this lovely lady who is, how nice of her to think about these lovely women who are struggling without their husbands? And you had an experience because didn't your brother come to visit with his wife, and didn't you have a similar feeling of not necessarily being jealous, but didn't you think that used to be Mike and I?
Right. So my brother-in-law and sister-in-law stopped by to pick up something, and I hadn't seen them since the funeral. And they were standing outside the door with literally glowing faces because they were about to go on their road trip, and their biggest smiles. And I just looked at their face, and for a second I went, holy mackerel, that's what Mike and I must have looked like when we were to go on our trips. And I never considered that's how we looked, because we were always so joyful to be on the road and seeing family and friends along the way. The advice I would give is to literally have the conversation with these people to say, listen, I don't know what it's like to walk in your shoes, and I'm so sorry for you having to go through this, but I'm here to listen, and I'm here to help. And as for the feelings of jealousy, it may not be jealous. It may be just, really remembering and wanting what you used to have.
If I can interrupt, I don't think it's so much that it's jealousy. I think it's envy.
Yeah.
We envy what they have that we once had. Or we, I think jealousy is that thing that really can destroy us. Envy is, it's in its mild form. Envy, I think, is very different than jealousy. I mean, watching happily married couples, and you've been divorced, it's you sort of look at them with a little bit of longing, a little bit of envy, a little bit of, oh, wish that could have been me. I think, and in this circumstance, so I think, Chris, what you're saying is absolutely right. If you can have an open conversation with them and say, sometimes I feel a little bit embarrassed because I don't want to show too much joy, and don't want to share too much with myself and my husband because I don't want to hurt you. But at the same time, I don't quite know how to handle it. If you just have that really sort of nice, frank conversation with them, I think that's the thing to do.
Karen says, thank you, healing community, for the healing sent to my neighbor, Helga. She is home from the hospital and getting slowly better. We just spoke, and she said she believes she is still here because of prayers.
Yay! Well, please, the next time you speak to her, my darling, just let her know that we are all here sending lots of love and happiness for her recovery.
All right. And then Karen says, this week I had to take my little old dog to have her put out of her suffering.
Oh, no.
She was at least 16 and the most loyal and beautiful little Pekingese. I
Oh.
felt her presence that evening by feeling chills. I wanted to know if our pets come to visit us and say goodbye. I really struggled with the decision to take her in.
You know, it's such a hard thing, but it shows how much you love your little puppy. When we take on our pets, we also take on the responsibility to make sure that they suffer as little as possible. It's always hard. It never gets easier. I've had to do it a few times. Unfortunately, it never ever gets easier. But you need to go back and listen to some of these shows, and you need to go back and go on the website and see if we've talked about things before. We did a great show a few weeks ago, I think it was, and I was talking about Christmas time, and I was talking about my grandson had made an envelope, and in this he'd made two envelopes. He'd written on them, coloured them in, and he'd put these sort of, I don't know quite what they were, but little messages inside the envelopes. One for his puppy Piper, who had passed 2 or 3 years ago, and one for Cachorro, who had passed the year before. And as we're talking about these puppies and he's showing me what he's made for them for Christmas, even though they're not here, he knows that they're going to come and see, and he knows they're going to appreciate his little notes and his words to them. As we were talking about it, first of all, I saw my Cachorro, and then I saw Piper, and then I saw Feather, and then I saw Nino, and then I saw, and on it went. And the first dogs that I ever owned, Atlas and Minter, were amazing Alsatians. They were incredibly beautiful, and I used to breed with them, and we had such an amazing and special relationship. And for the first time in years and years and years, and I couldn't believe it when I saw them. And they're here as well. It was like we had a huge party of all the pets and all the animals, mostly dogs, I have to say, uh, um, who came. And my grandson knew that something was going on, because at one point first of all, my eyes filled with tears. It was so unexpectedly amazing to see them all there. And then he could see that I was getting more and more emotional and more shocked, because, and then when Atlas and Minter came, I thought, oh my, I could not believe it. It was amazing. What was the question? Do they come and visit? Of course they do. And of course, your little puppy will come and visit you. I'm so sorry for your loss. It's such a painful time, but I promise he's safe and he will come visit. Absolutely. And it was not your imagination. I think that's what you want to know. Chris.
Joanne says, I'm feeling down in the dumps. I'm not sure why, but it raises my spirits to listen to you.
Well, good. And instead of focusing on why, maybe for today, because I'm sure you'll figure it out at some point, but maybe for today, let's focus on, let me see, what joyful things, my darling, do you have in your life? How many friends do you have? Even if you've only got one special friend, that's enough. How many people in the spirit world love you? How many come and visit you from time to time? Let's think of all the joyful things. Work hard at thinking all the joyful things. And I'm sending you lots and lots and lots of loving and positive energy. So come on, use it. It's yours. I'm throwing it to you now. It's yours. You must use it to be joyful. Chris.
All right. Since we're at time, I'll just give you one more. Deepening 715 says, I remember seeing you on Oprah in the 90s. I have never forgotten you. I found you on YouTube without looking for you. Your face is still beautiful, sweet, and kind. I think my mom is with me every day. Take lots of care.
Well, thank you, my darling, and thank you for saying those nice things about my face. It's like Yes, I don't know quite how I've managed it. I think it's the joy that shines out. When you look at someone, they can be so wrinkled and so old looking and so, sort of the parchment skin, and which I luckily don't have. But you look at people and they can be all wrinkled up or what have you, but youth and joy sparkles from their eyes, and it sparkles when they're the kind of person who just likes to have fun and who literally sparkles. And I do feel that and I've no idea why, but I do feel a little bit sparkly. Not just today, but I feel sparkly most days. And fortunately, I also wear a smile most days, unless I'm deep in thought or if I'm talking to the spirit one and I've got that face that looks like, it might look like I'm sort of being serious or worried. You should see when I'm working, I think I pull all sorts of weird faces. But you've got to keep the sparkle inside. So no matter what you look like physically and how wrinkled or otherwise you are physically, that you've got to keep that spark. And I think also, um, I think we all have that experience when you're looking into the eyes of someone who is a kind person. It just kindness and gentleness flows from them. Um, doesn't it make you feel all sort of nice and warm and fuzzy inside? It does me. It makes me feel warm and fuzzy, and it reminds me that kindness and gentleness are the two most important things that we should share with each other. Having said that, we are now at time. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. It's been great, even though we should continue on a bit, Chris, because
We did. We're over. We made our hour.
Oh, oh, good. All right then. Well, that's good then. Now I don't feel so bad about it. It's been so lovely talking to you all. Happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody. Thank you for joining us. Chris, thank you for everything that you do. You're great as usual. Thank you, of course, to Grey Eagle. We're going to try if we can. I've got to talk to Chris about it. We're going to see if we can try and do an off the cuff between now and the weekend, which only leaves tomorrow, really. Tonight, tomorrow, maybe we'll do it over the weekend. I have to talk to Chris because she's in charge of all that sort of thing. But so keep looking out for us, keep watching out for us. We love the off the cuff shows. I will be back officially on Saturday morning with another story time for all of you. And I can't promise it's going to be an Irish story because I'm not sure about that, but we'll do our best to get you a story that you're going to love, that you're going to enjoy. That will be at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, same time as this show is. So until then, until I see you again, whenever it might be, please, all of you out there, have a very, very blessed rest of the day. And if you don't catch us at the weekend, have a very blessed weekend, everybody. Bye-bye.